what the purpose of it is, or how you're supposed to do it, or
You said something about, yeah.
Oh, well, like, I think about, like, I can think, like, different things at the same time. Like,
okay.
I don't know how to describe it.
Like about your life.
No, not even that. Like, I'll be saying, like, thinking live, but then I'll also be thinking about, like, Abby in the background talking.
Yeah, yeah. So
That's one.
and that's going to be part of the trip, okay? Because okay, but see, this is going to be part of the trip, because part of what when you're really doing this, when you're really practicing it in its fullest extent, then yes, you'll be completely removing yourself and kind of detaching yourself from just about everything else around you. Okay, and the purpose, kind of like we said before when we talked about meditation, is with Christian meditation, it's not about complete detachment. It's about detaching yourself from the world so that you can attach to God more. Okay. When I used to do this at Oklahoma Christian, when I had time to just walk around and stroll throughout the campus, I'd get into these moments where I'd be able to sit down against a tree and just lose focus of everything else. And I mean, I'd go 5-10 minutes at some points without realizing that much time had passed. And when you get into a really deep, restful state, what happens is it feels like sleep. You kind of like startle yourself out of it because you're so unaccustomed to it that you just kind of like, oh, okay. But you've been rested. You've actually taken time to rest in God's presence. And again, it's not to detach yourself completely. It's just to attach yourself to God. Okay? But like Casey pointed out, at some points you're going to be doing this and you're still going to be hearing everything else going on around you. All right? We're going to talk about that a little bit more as part of the ultimate goal of this practice. Okay?
I think I do that sometimes when talking.
Zone out.
Every class period.
They use there now, they come back in.
I didn't hear that. No, but just keep doing this, and if you guys feel up to it and want to, feel free to text me, because I meant to do this with you guys this whole week, and I completely forgot. So hit me up and say, it's your turn now, buddy, or whatever, and just say, did you do this? Did you do this today? And I'm like, oh, I'll sit down and do it right now. So, but I need that. I mean, we all need help being accountable to each other, and that's one of the wonderful things about living in community, is the idea that we can all hold each other accountable together. And not to be, rude or whatever. I'm not going to sit there and, just all of a sudden go to Jim and go, did you do it? But just to sit there and say, hey, I just want to encourage you. Did you do the practice that you are needing to do? And yeah, I did. Or no, I didn't. I need you to continue to encourage me to do that. So, all right. So the history of rest and the history of Sabbath. So what did we say? Where did we say the practice of rest came from? Of Sabbath came from?
The first day, or
First day,
7 days.
yeah. Well, I guess it was more the seventh, the first rest, we'll call it. And seventh day.
Genesis 2.
Yep.
And then Exodus something, right?
Yes, good.
I can't
Genesis.
remember, but I know it's in Exodus.
Yeah, and it's the command for Sabbath. Okay. And this comes in, I think it's Exodus. I think there's chapter 16 or 17, and then it comes up again. I think it's in chapter 21 when God has given him the 10 Commandments. Okay, you guys can check me on that later. But I know in this part it's because they're gathering the manna, remember? And God tells them, okay, how much manna are they supposed to gather on days 1 through 6?
Well, a portion for 1 day, on 1 through 5, and on 6, a double portion.
Right. Yeah. And because what would happen if they gathered more than what they needed on Monday through Friday?
Oh, go to waste.
Yeah, it was going to, or Sunday through Friday, as I should say. Yeah, it's gonna. If they grab a double portion on Sunday through Thursday, it's gonna spoil if they have anything left over. But if they grab a double portion on Friday, what's gonna happen? It's all good. Somehow, God is able to make it stay fresh for Saturday so that they could rest. What do the people do?
They don't rest.
No, they just keep going. They keep trying to go out there and look, and what do they find? Nothing. Okay, so they go out there, they don't find anything, and so they have to remember to rest. They've been working as slaves for so many years, and God's trying to remind them to rest. And so we already talked about this a little bit on the first week that we were studying this. The idea that for Jews, Sabbath was on Saturday because that was the day that God rested. Do you guys remember why we said it got switched for us to Sunday? Why we celebrate Sunday as our Sabbath?
It's the last day of the week.
Huh?
It's the last day of the week.
You could consider it the last day of the week.
I agree.
It depends on what calendar you look at.
Well, I know
Some
that-
Sunday
I know that, like, Mexican calendar, it's the first day on the calendar. But on your calendar I have, it's on the line.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Okay.
I have seen those. I just don't see them very often.
Chinese
I don't know.
No, some calendars do put
Yeah.
Monday at the top.
Okay.
That's so cool.
Do you guys remember though why for Christians the day got bumped to Sunday?
Jesus rose on Sunday.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it becomes this thing where the Christians were celebrating Sunday because that was the day that Jesus rose, and when he did that, we as Christians were celebrating that, and so then whenever the Jews expelled the Christians from the synagogues and said you can't come here anymore, the Christians really started emphasizing Sunday more than anything else. Saturday had already been built in as a day of rest, and that's kind of why we practice Saturdays and Sundays as non-traditional work days now. But yeah, that's kind of the history there. So Jesus and the disciples, Jesus consistently goes throughout this argument with the Pharisees and the teachers of the law about the Sabbath. Do you guys remember what happens in this confrontation where the disciples start picking wheat?
Wait,
Huh?
can you repeat that?
What?
Can you repeat it?
Yeah. So Jesus is going throughout a field on a Sabbath. All right. And his disciples start taking the wheat from the edge of the field, and they start running the kernels through their hands, and they're popping the kernels in their mouth. All right. They're just the wheat kernels. And the Pharisees, I guess, are just following Jesus just to try and find something wrong and start harassing him and his disciples and saying, "It's a Sabbath. Your people aren't supposed to be working." What does Jesus say? Because I am Lord of the Sabbath. Okay? How many times does Jesus heal on the Sabbath? Yeah.
0.
There's at least multiple occasions where Jesus.
I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Yeah, well,
There's multiple times when Jesus heals on the Sabbath, okay? And every single time it happens, the religious leaders get irritated about it, okay? One time a lady is in the room or whatever with Jesus on the Sabbath as he's teaching, and this poor woman is just like, she's got some kind of disease where her body is just shriveled up and she's just in so much pain. And Jesus looks at her and has compassion on her, reaches out and heals her. All right? And the synagogue leader has the nerve to get up and say, "There are 6 days to come and be healed. Come on one of those days. Don't come on the Sabbath." How do you think Jesus feels about that statement?
Said, whoa.
Yeah, that would be a good way of putting it in today's terms. Slow your roll, dude. That's not right. All right? And Jesus' whole point that he harasses them about is, hey, if you're sheep or camel or ox or whatever falls into a pit, are you going to rescue it? If your child falls into a pit, are you going to rescue it? Why would they consider that work? You're exerting yourself. I mean, this is why Jesus starts getting onto the Pharisees and the teachers of the law and so forth throughout the Gospels, because they've completely twisted the intent of God's message. I mean, God's message is rescue people, heal people. Dadgummit, if somebody's trapped in a pit, get them out. If it's on a Sabbath, get them out. You don't just leave them there. And so Jesus is consistently in this battle with the Pharisees about this issue. And this issue of helping others is a consistent message that Jesus has with the Pharisees throughout his time. Okay? He's constantly trying to remind the people, look, I know that the Pharisees have really messed this up, but the point is that we're supposed to help. Okay? So what does that mean for us as far as rest and the Sabbath goes? Say you're trying, you've set aside a day, you're just like, you know what? Let's say you're 5-10 years from now, whatever, you guys have jobs, you're out of college, you have what are called vacation days now, all right? and you're like, okay, I'm going to take a vacation day to rest. Because I know on Saturday, I've got so much stuff piled up that needs to get done. I know on Sunday we might have like a church, retreat or something that we're heading off to. I'm going to take Thursday or Friday or whatever to sit down, not go to work, and I'm going to rest. And let's say right in the middle of your day, you're just relaxing in God's presence. And all of a sudden, you get a call from Caitlin. And Caitlin's like, I'm in trouble. My car has broken down. I am stuck. It's 100 degrees out here. Can you come help me? That is exactly what the Pharisees would have said. Okay? That's exactly what they would have said. They would have been like, nope, sorry, too bad, I'm resting. Alright? We have to remember that we are called to reach out and help others. You can go throughout the Gospels and you can see multiple occasions where Jesus is in the process of resting. He goes out of his way to leave the crowds and go and rest, and the people end up following him. And they're like, Jesus, 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 hey, 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 How did that feel? Yeah. And yet, Jesus sits there and goes, all right, let's go. Let's get this figured out. All right, come on.
What do you need, bud?
Yeah, I mean,
What's up, buddy?
and that's the thing, is that Jesus really did. There are the examples there of Jesus actually going and stopping this period of rest to help others because he had compassion on them. Okay? So we need to remember that that's a key part of rest, is that we can't sit there and use rest as an excuse to not help others. We still have to reach out and be Christ to the people around us. All right. So, yes, applying. How do we apply the idea of rest in our culture today? What are some ways that you guys can rest in your life today?
Sleeping, watching, sleep.
Going back.
That's not rest. That's not rest. That's worse.
Well, the way that he was describing it just a bit ago.
Rest when you don't do anything. It's just
My
Oh,
20-minute
man, you guys
drive.
are hungry.
Okay. Yes, 20-minute drive to Dora. Okay.
I sleep over there.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
you
drive. Are you
Right.
serious? I rest out.
Okay, this always.
I just like chill. I
Let's-
don't turn on the radio.
Okay. Yeah. This is what I'm talking about right here. Okay. How many of you guys, when you're driving, are listening to the radio? All right. How many of you guys are blasting the tunes and everything else? Right. Right.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I have one.
Okay.
So like this is a private one, but I read when I'm like resting.
Okay, read. Yeah.
Like I
I agree with that.
Great.
I love reading. I draw.
Draw. Okay.
You know what I do? I do for rest. I don't draw. I watch TV. I watch TV.
Okay.
What?
All right.
I'm sorry. We watched
What are-
like 17 times.
What are some other ways that you can apply rest in your life today?
Right now.
What do you mean right now?
Well,
Okay.
stop worrying so much.
Okay.
Good job, Cody.
No worry. Okay.
Just listen to that song.
All right. So, so somebody, you guys kind of talked about driving and that being a time where you can rest. And yeah, that is a good opportunity in some circumstances, okay? Obviously not if you're like driving through downtown Dallas. Please don't rest while you drive through downtown Dallas. That's just dangerous and crazy. But, I mean, like with a lot of the drives around here, you can rest. But, yeah. I mean, when I end up going up to Clovis, I mean, that's a 20 to 30 minute drive that I'm accustomed now to just not playing the radio when I'm driving.
What?
I usually get to Clovis in like 2 minutes.
I didn't hear that part either.
Pretty
But-
much resting while I'm there.
So here's the thing is I used to have XM satellite radio when I was in college. And then when I went from Louisville to Oklahoma, I ended up eventually dropping the satellite radio, and I was left with just standard FM radio. And after the first car commercial came back on, I was like, nope, I ain't doing this. I did not want to listen to dealership commercials all the time, so I just shut off the radio. And after a while,
That's you. He's boring.
no, it gets peaceful.
No, it gets boring for me.
That's the thing, though, is that it can be an opportunity for rest. So you guys talked about reading. That's a good opportunity to rest. Any other things that you guys can think of on how to apply rest?
Oh, riding the horse. That's
Okay.
like zone you out. You just be like,
What are some other things?
Seeking out bus ride.
Yeah.
Bus ride?
Taking
Walk.
That's pretty long.
You don't think about anything when you walk.
I got in my jacuzzi bathtub.
Is it?
Pedicures. Oh. Yeah.
I think for some people that's going to be restful. For some people that's going to be like.
they put your toes in the hat. To get in there.
Abby forced me to get a manicure with her one time. It was so uncomfortable. I know.
Oh, and his daughter painted his nails.
Yeah.
Why is it painted?
Oh, because I took it off. I didn't wear that. All right.
Hey, if my grandpa can get his fingernails painted pink and still gonna work like that, you can too.
Oh, yeah.
I had
Come on,
to
step up now. Step up.
All right. Any other ideas?
Step up now.
Any other ideas on how you guys can apply rest in your life today?
No way.
Just like, just stay at home and have no performance. You can just sit on the couch and just stare at the blank TV. You don't
No,
even turn it on.
stare at your wall and have a conversation with the wall.
Stare at
AKA
the blank TV.
Craziness.
sitting outside. Okay.
Sitting on your roof.
I like how you sit on your life.
Okay. Any others?
Sitting on the roof. So like being alone in general, just like just having time to think to yourself.
Yeah.
Can be sitting in the big hall.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, our trip's up there.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Just sitting.
some ways to apply rest in your life right now. All right. Resting on Saturday night before church. Okay. I think we talked about this on week 1, that the whole idea that for the Jews, the Sabbath started the night before. Okay? So that as soon as the sun set on Friday, that's when Sabbath really started. Okay? You weren't supposed to do any work until the sun set again on Saturday night. All right? And the whole idea was not to sit there and try and work until the sunset, and then as soon as the sunset, okay, I'm done. No, you're supposed to just gear down and take it easy. Why?
Time to rest.
True. If you're working like that, if you're working that much to sit there trying to work until the very end of the time that you can, what are you really trying to do?
Overwork yourself.
You're overworking
You're
yourself.
gonna be so exhausted that when you're actually supposed to rest, you're gonna be like, I know this doesn't make sense, but you're gonna be like too exhausted to actually like rest.
True.
It
No, but
makes sense.
it does, and
You know
it
what?
happens.
It
Okay.
happens to my dad sometimes. So he's
Okay.
so exhausted from the week that he can't even rest because his mind is still going.
That's amazing.
Okay. If you're working that much, are you trusting in God to provide?
No.
No. And it defeats the purpose of rest. All right? And so this is why we need to try and make sure that before Sunday, we're resting. And this is something that I've got to work on, okay? Especially with a kiddo, because you get the kiddo to bed, you finally actually have adult time where you can actually watch something that doesn't involve Puff and Rock or Trolls or something, and you can actually watch your own TV shows or do your own stuff, or you've got meals to prepare or whatever, but it's something I have to practice myself. And so resting the night before you go to church. All right? Don't go crazy. What do I mean by don't go crazy?
Don't overdo it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't overdo it. All right? Don't sit there and try and do everything in the world possible during the day. All right? You shouldn't be setting yourself up so that you wake up at 5 o'clock and then at 5:01, okay, I gotta get moving. Let's get moving. I gotta go. I got all this stuff I gotta do today. And then at 11 o'clock at night, okay, I gotta go. Gotta go to sleep because I have to make sure I can get up in the morning and continue to do stuff.
No, heck no. I think
All right. But what's the problem when we push ourselves like that?
You're not
resting.
You're not resting. Yeah. It's kind of like what Casey was saying just a little bit ago, that you can work yourself so hard that you can't even really rest when you take time to rest. Too tired to rest. All right.
You're supposed to be doing on Saturday.
That's right. All right. You can rest through spiritual disciplines. Okay? Through solitude. Do you guys know what that means?
Nobody.
Secluded
Yeah.
from the world.
Yeah. You're just shutting everything else down and you're just spending time alone. Okay? Was that you that said that, Brianna, just a little bit ago?
Yeah.
Both of you, okay. So,
No, you said.
okay. Sorry. All right. Solitude. Spending time on your own without anybody else, okay? If you're an extrovert, that's going to be a little bit more difficult for you to do than for an introvert. But it's still something that's good, okay? Jesus himself would go out, and it talks about he would go to solitary places to pray. All right? And so this is something that we need to practice as well, meditation. Just focusing in on one key passage and really honing in on that. Or focusing in, just trying to fill yourself with God's presence and allowing him to fill you. Not forcing him, but allowing him to fill you through prayer. When we actually sit down and take time to sit and pray with God, we're allowing ourselves to rest in his presence and be changed. Through reading, some of you guys mentioned that. Sometimes just reading any typical book can be restful. But a lot of times reading through that the Bible itself can be some of the most productive rest you're going to get. I can say that there are times when I'll start feeling really stressed. Every once in a while, I still go through some anxiety over some stuff that's happened in my past, and I start getting really stressed out. I'll sit down and watch one of those Bible Project videos, and I'll keep watching those until I've calmed down, because it's this pouring of continuing to investigate into God's heart and what He's intending for us through Scripture that provides that rest. All right? All right, so how do we do it? Starting off, it's not going to be easy. All right? For some of you guys, it might be easier than others, as we've seen through our practice this week, but it's not always going to be easy. Make dedicated time to spend with God. All right? Actually focus a time to spend with Him. And find a time that works for you. Don't sabotage yourself. Okay? So somebody give me an example of a time that that would never work for yourself. Like Zach was saying just a little bit ago that when he wakes up in the morning, what's the first thing? How long does it take you to actually get out of bed and like start functioning?
Well, I usually don't really wake up for school.
Okay.
The whole drive, I'm kind of just like.
Okay. So that morning time might not be the best for Zach. Okay. And in fact, you really have to kind of do trial and error, because like in the past, I used to do my prayer time at night while I was in bed, or I tried to read my Bible while I was in bed. Guess what you think happened? Fell asleep. Okay? Don't sabotage yourself. If you're going to fall asleep during this time, if it's not a good time for you, just don't do it during that time. Find a good time that you can actually dedicate to God. And if something doesn't work, change. You might say, okay, so Zach might say, okay, well, the morning time doesn't work for me. I'm going to try it at like whatever time I get done with football practice. 7? Yeah, okay, 7 o'clock. So Zach says, okay, at 7 o'clock, I'm going to go ahead and try and do my rest time, whether that's studying my Bible, prayer, whatever. I'm going to try and use that as my time to rest. But let's say he starts doing it at 7 o'clock and it doesn't work. Oh, thank you. Then what we're going to do is we're just going to change. All right? Zach might say, okay, well, I'm just going to bump it to 9 o'clock and go from there. All right? If something doesn't work, just change it. Start in short increments. We've already tried doing 2 minutes. Keep doing that for a while. When you start feeling like you're getting really comfortable with 2 minutes, start adding time. Bump it up to 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Keep going. Okay? The goal is to be able to find that peace in each moment. Okay, so kind of like what we were talking about with Kason's point earlier, that what your goal is you really want to try and emphasize the idea of finding dedicated time to rest in God's presence. But the goal is to be able to actually drive, to be in the middle of traffic and be able to rest in God's presence, because this is a continual practice and habit for yourself, not picking your nose like my daughter was just trying to do. All right. When you reach times where you find yourself anxious about standing still, it's time to start pulling back. All right? It's time to start practicing again this discipline of rest. All right? So the message I want you guys to take away with tonight is spend time with God to draw close to His heart and to take peace in His presence. All right? Saturday, we've got the Teenage Christian Conference. We need to leave the building by 8 a.m., bring money for lunch. We'll eat that before we start the conference. And we may make a gas stop on the way back. Just kind of depends on how we all feel. So there won't be a Sunday evening youth activity. And then next week, we're going to do our evening at Chandler Pond. So that'll be at 5 o'clock. All right, lunch. Woo. All right, lunch schedule.
11:30.
All right, Maddie.
Brianna.
Whoa, I can't believe one.
And Brianna.
Maddie, what was it?
11:30. Don't forget Aiden.
Oh, and Aiden.
11:30 to 12:45. Okay. Maddie,
Wait, are there any freshmen?
Brianna,
Oh, yeah.
and
Technically for the freshmen, they start at 11:40.
okay.
So-
I'll write them down separately. Is there anybody else that has lunch from 11:30 to 12:25?
Yeah.
Okay. Caitlin, what time is your lunch?
No.
I'll just go
Guys are
eat
cool
lunch
here.
on my house.
David, David, what time is lunch? Okay. 12:15. Like 12:15 to 1?
Our sometimes lunch.
I think.
No.
But then, Kobe's got a question for you.
Okay. That's right, because you guys get out on Friday, so they probably would shorten the lunch hour. Okay. Paul, what about you?
Don't get it. Same as
Me?
this. It's a little bit.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you guys both go to Elida, that's right. Wait, do you go to Dora or you go to Elida?
We are from 12 to 12:45.
You guys get a short one.
I mean, there's not much to do in
It's
like
45 minutes.
Yes, there is.
Okay.
There's a gas.
Hayden, Dora kids.
12. He's at 12, I'm at 12:30.
12:30. 12:30? Okay. So Hayden is
12.
and Zach are 12:30 to what? 1? Okay. Alright, and then Hudson.
One lunch.
So is it normally 12 to 12:30 though?
Yeah, tomorrow we
Okay. Kobe, what time is lunch? 12:15 to 1? Or 12:25? Okay.
All the Floyd High School kids are there.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Kobe, Ollie, Weston. Okay. Let's see here. Like David Cummings. Yeah, David's out. Let's see, Riley.
11:42, 12:25.
They go to 6.
That's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
This releases
That's
later,
right,
but
that's
like
right.
Johnson
Johnson
is parents.
behind, 'cause they're freshmen.
Johnson releases early.
Did I get everybody? Yeah. Okay, good. Okay. Alright, now that I got your schedules, I'm gonna try and see about something that came out there and visit you guys. So, it's basically,
What are you
If they give us
doing?
well, you'll give us.
yeah, I'll give you guys a heads up.
Yeah, because sometimes they make a good lunch.
Right,
Man, she's tired.
that's right.
Yeah,
Alright.
depends.
Alright, so my goal is probably sometime in September, start for those of you in Fortalis, we'll start having lunch here at the building on Tuesdays again. So if you guys can come on over, feel free to do so. For those of you in Floyd, Dora, and Elida, I'll try and come up with something where either I bring lunch to you or I have somebody come out and bring lunch and make a lunch and bring it out and set it with me. So we'll work something out there. All right, that is all I got for tonight. Love you guys. Think you're awesome.
Thanks, Ted, you're awesome.
back.
Oh.
Why'd you do that?
Abby,
What the fuck got hit by Oh, hold this.
See ya.
Guys,
Oh,
Oh.
I think that's.
Yeah, you did.
Pick out people.
Zach.
Why you want to be busy on Saturday?
I didn't know.
Conference, you're more than welcome to ride out with us. So just let me know. Good deal.
Good seeing you guys.
Hey.
I can't come on Saturday.
I know, talk to your mom.
Yeah, that's pretty much too.
I'm so upset about it.
You got
You want them, yeah.
See you guys.
Hopefully.
I'll be there.
Yes, I know.
Well, there's an
There's
animal
just,
hospital.
both of you guys that are coming with us right now. So,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
waiting to hear about a couple more, but. Yeah. Dave's gotta put stuff away, okay?
What's your drink? What's your drink?
Or just pop down and sit, that's cool.